So what we're going to talk about tonight, we've talked about several things in here in past years. We've talked about obesity, we've talked about inflammation, we've talked about the cell and the incredible creation that the human body is. And what we're going to talk about tonight is something that I'm sure has affected every single person in this room, and that is cancer. And many of you may have had a personal experience with cancer, but if not, I'm sure everyone in here knows someone who has cancer or has some relative with cancer. And we're going to talk about the role of nutrition and of vitamin and mineral supplementation in the treatment of cancer as well as the prevention of cancer. And very, very important that you understand the value of nutrition and the role that it plays in cancer. So I'm going to wait till everybody gets a handout so that we can all kind of get settled down. And anybody now not have a handout, raise your hand if you don't have one. All right. We're going to start by talking about vitamins. There's now hard scientific evidence that vitamins in your diet and vitamin supplements can help prevent cancer. That's a very good yay. I'm going to look briefly at the vitamins that has been proven. Now, some of this is research that's brand new. Some of it's research that's even right now being done, and some of it is already been completed. But I'm going to look at the evidence behind the vitamins that we know. These are the ones that's been proven to prevent cancer. Now, they're doing studies looking at others. Vitamin A and its precursor, beta-carotene, have been proven to prevent carcinogenesis. That's the formation of cancer cells at the very cellular level. Epidemiological studies have shown that low intake of vitamin A to be associated with cancers of the lung, the breast, the larynx, that's your voice box, the bladder, the esophagus, stomach, colon, rectum, cervix, and prostate. All have been associated with low vitamin A intake. A form of vitamin A called 13-cis-retinoic acid has been used in clinical trials to treat skin cancer and cervical cancer. This is probably due to the fact that vitamin A activates a gene in your body called P53, which protects your DNA against viral-induced cancers. And cervical cancer is a viral-induced cancer. So vitamin A has been proven to benefit those types of cancers. Vitamin B6 has an influence on cancer. We don't know a lot of details on that yet, except that if you have a vitamin B6 deficiency, you have insufficient number of T lymphocytes. That's cells that your lymphatic system produces that helps fight cancer. And you can't fight cancer effectively if you don't have the right and the correct number of T cells, and B6 is involved in that. Vitamin C, this one's kind of surprising to a lot of people. Everybody thinks of vitamin C as the code vitamin to help your immune system fight off infections, but it also works very effectively to help your immune system fight off cancer. It's an antioxidant which prevents the formation of cancer-forming free radicals. But there's a lot of other things about vitamin C. If you have a vitamin C deficiency, you also have a reduction in those T lymphocytes. Vitamin C is necessary for the formation of collagen, and when you get cancer and you get a tumor, the first thing that your body tries to do is wall that off, and it creates a capsule of collagen around it. And then those cancer cells secrete a enzyme called hyaluronidase, and that dissolves the collagen that allows the cancer cells to escape and get into your bloodstream, and that's how you seed cancer to the rest of your body, what we call metastasis. Well, vitamin C actually helps neutralize that enzyme, hyaluronidase. And so there's a lot of ways that vitamin C has been proven to help cancer. Furthermore, Sloan Kettering Cancer Hospital in New York City has shown that cancer cells have a very high affinity. In other words, they're gluttons for vitamin C, and it's probably because they mistake vitamin C for glucose. Cancer cells love glucose. They're what we call obligate glucose metabolizers. They have to have sugar for fuel, and they love that glucose, and apparently they mistake vitamin C for it. So if you get high-dose vitamin C in your bloodstream, those cancer cells will concentrate that vitamin C, and they'll fill up with it. Well, apparently what happens is that vitamin C, which is normally an antioxidant, when the cancer cells fill up with it, becomes a pro-oxidant, and actually causes oxidation and kills the cancer cell. And so several years ago, they did a study using high-dose intravenous vitamin C in cancer patients, and they found that various cancer patients went into complete remission when they were given IV vitamin C. Now, that was done in 2004. It was reported in the Annals of Internal Medicine in April 2004. And how many of your doctors do you know that's prescribed an IV vitamin C for cancer? No. Why? Nobody makes any money selling vitamin C. Okay. So it's been proven to work and to be effectively, but you don't see it being done, unfortunately. Vitamin D3, cholecalciferol, that's the active form of vitamin D, the kind that your skin makes when you're exposed to sunshine, which is the only reason that I was in the sun today, by the way. It was just I was trying to increase my vitamin D level. Vitamin D has been shown to prevent the activation of an oncogene. An oncogene is a mutant gene that's in the cells that actually allows the cell to develop cancer to begin with. It's an abnormal gene, it's a mutant gene, and vitamin D has been shown to prevent the activation of that gene, therefore preventing the formation of these proteins called episomes that actually begin the cancer process. And it's also been shown that vitamin D supplementation blocks the carcinogenic effect of high-fat diets. We all know that high-fat diets increase the risk of several cancers. Vitamin D can help block that. Human cancer cells have been shown to have receptor sites for vitamin D. Now, that seems strange. Why would a cancer cell have a receptor site for a vitamin? It may be God's mercy that He did that, because when vitamin D binds to those receptor sites, it tends to prevent the cancer cell from growing and reproducing. So in clinical trials that are ongoing right now with prostate cancer cells, when vitamin D was added to the culture medium, it made the prostate cancer cells go into a permanent non-proliferative state. In other words, the cells never reproduced after that until they eventually died. And also, cultures growing human breast cancer cells were inhibited. Their growth was slowed down by adding vitamin D to the culture medium. Vitamin E refers to a family of 8 related compounds called tocopherols and tocotrienols. Vitamin E is also an antioxidant. It protects us from the cancer-causing effects of several toxins, including alcohol, tobacco, oxygen. Everybody is aware, I guess, that oxygen is necessary for life, but it's also a toxin and causes the oxidation process. That's why your car finish loses its luster through the years. That's why metals rust. That's the effect of oxygen. Well, oxygen causes oxidation in your body too, and vitamin E helps prevent that. Nitrosamines, which is some of the artificial preservatives in some of our foods, and ultraviolet radiation. So those are the vitamins that has been proven to help treat or prevent cancer. The fat-soluble A, D, and E, and then B6 and C are the 5 that we know so far have definite anti-cancer properties. And like I said, others are being studied. Then minerals. Minerals are part of the elaborate enzyme systems that's vital to the life of every cell. We're going to look at a few, 3 in particular, that have been proven anti-cancer properties. Selenium is one of those. Selenium is a trace element of extreme importance in cancer prevention. Selenium-rich diets reduce the risk of developing leukemia, as well as cancers of the colon, rectum, pancreas, breast, ovary, prostate, bladder, lung, and skin. The anti-cancer properties of selenium is due in part to its potent antioxidant effect, but as opposed to vitamins A and E and C, which are themselves antioxidants, selenium is not by itself an antioxidant. What selenium does is it activates an enzyme called glutathione peroxidase, which is in every cell of your body, and it's the most potent antioxidant known. And selenium activates that. Selenium also has the ability to combine with small amounts of toxic dietary metals like cadmium, mercury, and arsenic and neutralizing them. And it also helps to destroy carcinogenic agents in the body and improve the body's own natural immune system. Selenium, you need about 1 to 200 micrograms a day. That's about the amount in a Brazil nut. So if you ate 1 Brazil nut a day, you could go a long way toward preventing cancer. I have some oncologist friends that do that. They eat 1 Brazil nut every day, and they get their selenium that way. Zinc. Zinc is an essential part of more than 100 different enzymes that's involved in the growth and division of all cells. Zinc deficiency also reduces the production of the cancer-fighting T lymphocyte cells. Zinc is necessary for vitamin E to work properly. And so when Dr. Holt tells you, that you need your vitamins and you need your minerals, you got to understand that all this works together. Okay, everything that God gave us is to work in unison and in harmony with each other for our bodies to work properly. So you need everything to be properly in the right proper balance. So without zinc, vitamin E doesn't work properly. On the other hand, you have to remember that with trace elements, too much can be toxic. Okay, and even with some vitamins, too much can be toxic. So studies have actually shown that if you get too much zinc in your diet, you can actually increase the risk of some cancers. So this is certainly a situation where you need enough, but you don't need too much. And Dr. Holt's products, of course, has the right amount for what you need. Chromium is another mineral. It probably works predominantly by lowering blood sugar. It lowers insulin resistance, which makes your insulin work more effectively. That lowers your blood sugar. And since cancer cells have to have glucose for fuel, you lower the glucose, you're lowering their fuel supply. And that's probably how chromium works to help prevent cancer. And then enzymes. This is the one that I found enjoyable evaluating and researching, because I wasn't aware of all the anti-cancer effects of enzymes. We all know of enzymes to help digest our food, to digest protein, carbohydrates, and fats, and we take our enzymes with our meals. But enzymes can also have very potent anti-cancer effects, and I'm going to tell you some of the details about that here. 30 years of research in Europe on using enzymes to treat cancer have shown that digestive enzymes can reduce tumor growth and metastasis in animals. They've done animal studies, they've reduced tumor growth, and they've prevented metastasis by using digestive enzymes. Digestive enzymes prevent radon-induced lung cancer in minors, people exposed to high doses of radon. Digestive enzymes have improved the 5-year survival rate of stage 1, 2, and 3 breast cancer patients fairly significantly. Bromelain, which is a protease, an enzyme from pineapple that digests protein, inhibited leukemic cell growth. That's the leukemia cells, and it even induced human leukemia cells in a culture to revert back to normal cells. That's called cytodifferentiation, and that's a digestive enzyme found in pineapple. Digestive enzymes have reduced the complications of cancer, such as weight loss, joint pains, and depression, and have been shown to reduce secondary infections in cancer patients. The proteolytic enzymes, that's the ones that digest protein, such as bromelain from pineapple, seem to dissolve this special coating that tumors tend to produce that makes them invisible to the immune system. In other words, it's like a stealth coating. You're familiar with the stealth airplanes that the Air Force developed that can't be seen on radar. And so tumors do that. They secrete a protein that covers the tumor that makes it invisible to the immune system. so that your immune system doesn't attack and destroy the tumor. That's how the tumor survives. It lives because your immune system isn't recognizing that it's abnormal and destroying it. And so one of the things that proteases do is they break that coating down, remove the stealth coating, so in effect the tumor is now visible on the body's radar or the body's immune system. There's also things called circulating immune complexes that the proteases break down that makes your immune system work more effectively. And proteases have been shown to be part of the body's regulation and communication system that helps the cancer cells actually commit suicide, what's called proptosis. You can actually produce a suicide death of cancer cells in the body by using proteases. The best food sources of these enzymes are pineapple, papaya, mango, and kiwi. Now, here's the thing. If you take enzymes with your meal to help digest your food, they're used up in digesting your food. So if you want to take enzymes to help fight cancer, you got to take it on an empty stomach. And then about 10% of those enzymes get absorbed. But that 10% can make a huge difference. You're getting digestive enzymes into your bloodstream, not being used for digestion, but where they can actually circulate in the bloodstream and have their anti-cancer effects. So if you're doing it for that purpose, take it on an empty stomach, not with your food. And bee pollen. Bee pollen has been shown to have anti-cancer properties. We all know about bee pollen. It's a rich collection of B vitamins, vitamin C, RNA, DNA, amino acids, polyunsaturated fats, enzymes, trace minerals, bioflavonoids, and whatever. I mean, it's one of the world's best foods. And it's been shown to actually help the immune system work more effectively. One way by blocking autoimmune reactions where the immune system attacks your own body, and another way by preventing unnecessary immune reactions such as allergies. Dr. Holt talks a lot about using the bee pollen to help prevent allergies, and by doing so, then that allows your immune system cells to look for cancer cells and fight cancer cells as opposed to trying to produce an allergic reaction in your body. So it makes your immune system work more effectively.